Hi guys, my name's Belinda. I just wanted to show you the face behind the hands today. I'm going to be colouring an image from Hanna Karlzon's book Magical Dawn. And this is the image that I'm going to be colouring. So let's get started. Hey guys, thanks so much for joining me today. I'm colouring this image out of Hanna Karlzon's book Magical Dawn. I am using Express blending card and Copic markers on this one. I also have some opaque white watercolour as well, which I'll use at the end for the white contrast there. So let's get started, shall we? So we're going to start with the skin. I'm going to use some orange tones for the skin today because I am going to do her hair as a real rich auburn red, orange, brown sort of colour. I wanted to match the skin up with that. It was a little bit difficult, this picture, to do. I am a little bit impatient and it did take me a long time to do it. I quite like to sort of get in and be able to finish a picture so that I can see the finished results really quickly, but I'm really glad that I persevered and continued on to finish it up. So at the moment I'm just lining in a few areas that I will be doing darker later on with the YR000 here, and I'm just filling out the rest of the skin everywhere else. I just sort of went over the areas where I'm going to put the darker colour just a couple of times so it would stand up out and up when I come in to put the next colour in. So I'm just going to use YR00 next to fill in all the shadow areas. So that will do behind the jewellery, the shadows around her nose, around her eyes, on her cheekbones, where the hair's overshadowing the face, on the neck and things like that. So I'm bringing that colour in now, which is YR00, and I'm just going in and I'm just going to do those shadow areas. So I'm going to bring some blue through and also some RV through as well to give it some nice contrast and make it look nice and deep. So I'll go ahead and fill out this darker colour first and then I'll move on to the next ones. So as I said earlier, this image did take me a long time. It took me roughly 9 hours to complete it. So if you want to slow down the video at all to catch up or to do a section, because I've obviously just done it faster here so that you're not sitting here for hours on end just watching me colour. Yeah, just stop the video, check what you're doing, and finish on from there. So just then I flipped over the paper too. There's actually a mark on the paper and I'm not sure how it got on there. I was just checking to see if it was an indentation through from the other side, but it looks like it is just, I don't know, might have been an imperfection in the paper. So I'm just still doing that YR00 and filling in all those shadow areas at the moment. So today I've got a couple of special mentions. I'm actually going to do a little bit of a review on a book that I purchased on Kindle a week or so ago. I just wanted to see some of the techniques in it, so I'll run through that for you once I get down to doing the gems and things like that. Also too, if you're wanting to know more about skin in depth, there are online colouring classes. One of them in particular is Kitten Clouder. Elise does run a class that is once you've purchased it, you actually get to keep the class to access it at any time, so you can log in at any time. It is a lifetime thing, and you can just go over some awesome techniques. She really goes into it in depth, step-by-step techniques, colours that she's used and things like that as well. So it is something if you're really interested in learning more about Copic markers, and also she has pencils as well, so it's a mixture of both. Just pop over to Kitten Clouder, let Elise know that I did send you. All the details are in the description below this video. So there is a little arrow on the bottom right hand corner underneath the video. If you click on that, it opens up all the details for the video. I'll post anything that I mention in the video in there, links and things like that for you as well. So I will do that in the description. So I'm coming over now with, I did come over already, sorry, with the B00, and I just went over and put that in the shadow areas. And I'm coming in now with RV00, and I'm just blending that out a little bit more. I'm going to come back over that with YR000 to blend it in more smoothly. And I may put extra shadows in here and there to give it that depth that I'm looking for as well. So once I finish with YR00, I want to B00, and then I use RV00. So I'm going to come back in a sec with the YR000 and just go over all of that again. So now I've swapped over to that YR000 and I'm going over everything again there. So just bringing the colour in over the top of all the shadow areas and coming back over those highlighted areas again as well. So look, I wasn't actually too fussed with the nose shape. I probably have done the shadow off a little bit there, but you can do the nose and things like that any shape that you like. So she's just Hanna Karlzon's just put a couple of little spots in there to mark out where the nose could be, and then it's up to you then to put the shadows and things like that in there. So that's just how I've chosen to put that in. So I'm coming back in again now with YR00 and deepening up these shadow areas a little bit and blending the blue out a bit more. And I'll blend that out with the Y000 as well. So everything that I do on skin, no matter what color that I do use, usually I will come back over it all with the highlight color to make sure that it's all blended in nice and smoothly. So I just swapped over to the clear marker to just blend out that blue a little bit more. It did come up a little bit darker than I wanted it to, so I've gone back over it just with a little bit of clear. It just lightened it up slightly. So I'm just going into the eyes now. I'm putting some C3 in as shadows around the lids, and then I'm blending it out with C1 and then a little bit of 0, which is a colorless blender again. So I just gone in to do that to create some shadows on the whites of the eye, because when we're looking at our eye, it is a sphere, so we want it to look like it is a round 3D shape, so that's why I've done that there. So I'm putting in some G05 for the eyes. I'm going to blend it out with G02 and then some G00, and I'm going to also put some white in those to bring them up a little bit more as well. I've got a little bit of BG07 just around the pupil area of the eye just to darken them up a little bit, and I'm just using some black for the insides of the eyes there. So I've got that white watercolor opaque there, and I'm just putting in some little spots and highlights into the eyes. So I'm going to start on the hair now, and what I'm doing first is I'm just going around and marking out all of the shadow areas. So that means that this crown's actually sitting on top of the hair, so I'm going around all of that part of the hair with the E09, and I'm just creating a shadow around it because that's where there would be a cast shadow on it. Then I'm going to come in and I'm going to just line out all of the sections of the hair that appear to be behind another section. So that would be the hair behind her ear, behind the back of her neck there, anywhere where the artist has drawn the image to make it look like that the hair is pulling in and back behind it. So I've just missed the ears, so I've just popped in to darken them up a bit and put the colour in the ears. So you can see in some of these sections there that the lines dip and bend in towards some sections, so that would be darker because it's more deeper in towards the sculpt more, so you're going to have deeper color there. So that's all I'm doing. I'm just going in and deepening up all of those areas first, and then I'm just going to fill in the hair like individual strands of hair. So I've gone over hair in detail in one of my earlier videos if you want to go and have a look at that to get some more in-depth detail on that. Also too, Kit and Clatter do have hair colouring classes as well, if you're wanting to get a thorough in-depth lesson on that. So I'm just going ahead now to do this and filling out all of the areas that I need to fill out with the darker colour. So in each section there, I've just done little lines out towards the middle of each part of that hair there, and created the look that there's dips and bends and hollows and things like that within the hair. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill out all these details now. So I've just got E08, and I'm just going over the top of that previous colour and bringing this a little bit further out. What that means is that I'm making the lines a little bit thicker, and I'm also making them longer as well. So going over the top of that colour and extending it further. So we're leaving a small white gap in the middle of each of those sections that wave up and are closer to us, and the stuff that's further away from us is going to be a lot darker. So I'm going in and filling that out now. I'm going to bring some yellow red through, so YR15, and I'm going to put some orange tones into this and brighten it up a little bit. So I'm going to put this mainly over most of the highlight sections, just to bring in that beautiful rich color in the background and to brighten up those highlight areas in the foreground. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish that off. So I'm going to bring that out even lighter again and use YR12 and go over the remainder of that area. So I'm going to need to deepen up the darker colors now, because you can see that they're a lot duller now because they've been desaturated. So I'm going over with the E09 now, just to fill that in a bit more. So I've got E08 and I'm going over the same area I did before again now. So this is just to deepen up the shadow areas. So I've got E09 and I'm doing the eyebrows. So I'm just doing the edges of each of the eyebrows and underneath, and then I will blend that out with the E08. So I've done the eyebrows there now. You could put the lighter colour over the top a little bit if you wanted to give a bit more of a shine on them. So I'm going to start on the crown. Now, I did see a book on Amazon last week, and I decided to grab it just to check out what it was all about. So it's called Colorist Special Effects, and it's by Helen Elliston, and she does a little clip in there about gold. So I thought, okay, well, let's use some similar colors and see if we can get this to look similar to her crown. Now, I didn't do it exactly the same, but I did use some of the colours that she suggested in there to have a look and see how that went. So I started with Y38, and I just did a few areas in between and all of the shadow areas with that, and I blended it out with the Y35, and now I've just got some E15, and I'm just putting it into some of the shadow areas and sort of marking a little bit here and there on the crown just to show some shine in some sections and also reflections of darker things on it as well. I'm also going to put some YR18 through it just to make it a little bit darker and give some orange through it as well. I've just blended back over what I had done then with the Y38. I've got Y32, and I'm going over the entire area now, and then I'm going to put some of the colours that she suggested to put in. So I've got YG03, and I'm just kind of putting little specks here and there throughout it to give it I guess the illusion that it is sort of bending around her head there. And I've brought in that YR18 as well, and I'll go back over all that again with the Y32. So there's a few different colours in there, but as you can see, it does look like that is a crown and that it's rounded or curved around her head there. So it did come out quite good. I'm using some black for the shadow areas under here and on the edges as well. So I'll go ahead and put that in around the gems as well. So it was a pretty good book. I used the same as her techniques for the lips and gave it a go, and they came out alright as well. So look, it was worth having a look at if you're learning to do colouring. It is a great book to go to for reference and resource. There was lots of other stuff in there too. There's stuff about hair and curved features, and also there's some gems in there. One of the gems I did do very similar to what she had done there. So it's nice to see somebody actually have it printed in a book like that, and it's also in colour, so you can buy it from Amazon as a Kindle book, and she also gives you a link to downloadable content as well, so you can practice. And also she does sell them as a book as well, so I'll pop any links and everything down the bottom in the description as I said before. So I'm doing the gems now, and I'm doing them the same colour as her eyes. So I've got G05, and I've just done random little triangles throughout the circles, and then I've done the same with the G02, and I've done the rest of it with G00, sorry. I did leave a couple of white sections just to show the reflections there as well, so you can see they look like they're fragmented jewels now. The colours do anyway. So I'm just popping a little bit of white over the top of that white to brighten it up a little bit with my white Prisma, and I also used a black Prismacolor pencil before as well there. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing over the other parts of the crown. I've just started doing a base layer of Y32 just to have that coating on it and have that over the whole crown first, because this will be the highlight colour through it. And then I've gone ahead and I've used the same colours as I've used in the bottom part of the crown there on the rest of it. So we've got starting with the darkest yellow, Y38, and then Y35, and then I've got Y32, and I'm using a little bit of E15, YR18, and a little bit of YG03 as well in there. And then I'll use a black pencil and the white either gel pen or the white watercolor paint over the top. So I'm going to go ahead and finish off the crown. There's a fair bit of gold in this picture, so I'll go ahead and do the top part of the crown and perhaps the earrings there as well. So I've picked a YR18 to do some little lines throughout it. So I've just randomly picked areas where just for no particular reason. Some of the areas I've chosen because there was already little lines drawn out by Hanna Karlzon. So I just went over those areas. I also put on the left side of each of the circles, or the little, it looks like they're little beads of gold, or they could even be beads, I'm not sure. I use them as gold though. And I've put on the right hand side, sorry, the left hand side of all of those beads, I've put like a little C shape on the edge of each of the circles. So that will give the effect of darker sphere on one side, and then the other side is going to be a lot brighter. So I've done that. I'm using the YR18 at the moment to do those bits. So now I've done that, I'm just going to blend out those little sections with Y38 now. So I'm going over the top of the YR18 and just smoothing over the top and blending this out a little bit. So I'm going to do that on all of those areas where I've put the YR18 in. So I'll go ahead and do this now. So now I've got some Y35 and I'm going over the Y38. So I'm bringing it a little bit further out towards the highlighted section of each of the parts that I've done, and then I'm going to blend it all out with the Y32 again to blend it and smooth it in with the colour that we laid down at the start. So I'll just go ahead and do this now. So now I'm bringing in that Y32 and I'm going over the entire area, blending it all in nice and smooth now. So I'm going to use my black Prismacolor pencil and just do around some of the shadow areas and where some of the diamantes and things like that will be sitting as well. So I'll just go ahead and mark those areas in now. So I'm going to put the green gems in the top triangular pointy parts at the top of the crown there. They'll be green, and also there's some circles within the crown that I'll also do green, the same as the gems that I've done on the front of the crown there. So I'll go ahead and fill those out using the same colors that I used before. So I just did use the G05 on the edge of each of those gems there. I just skipped the video slightly. And I'm using G02 just to blend that out now. And then I'll use G00 now to just go over the remainder of those areas. So we'll highlight those with small specks of white at the end as well. So I'm doing the G05 into the triangular parts there, and I'm just sort of randomly putting this on both sides, and I'm actually not blending any color here. I'm just laying on a color just to show some reflections of light and things like that through it as well. So I'm just doing inside the little round ones as well. So exactly the same colors that we've used on the gems on the bottom of the crown there. I've done that on the earrings and also within the inside of the crown there as well. So I'm also going to bring in behind the crown the same color that's in her hair. I'm going to bring that through and put it behind inside those white sections of the crown as well. So I'll go ahead and fill all that in as well. So I'm just finalising all that with the black pencil there just to put a bit more depth in there. And I'm going to bring that colour in a sec over the top of the sections behind the crown. So I'm going to be using the E08 and I'm going to put this in all the way around the crown. So this is where I would go ahead and fill out any parts of the gold that I've missed as well. So just go ahead and fill that out as well there. So I'm finishing off with the E08, yes. And I'm just finishing up underneath the jewelry here as well. I decided to color around the round parts of the earring with the green colors that I used previously. So we had G05, G02 and G00 there. So I'm just filling those out now and putting in the gold parts in the middle there as well. So I'm going to start on the lips. Now, as I said before, I'm going to use a similar technique, actually I'm following the tutorial or the book of Helen Elliston now, so I will post that in the link below, as I said. So she suggests to do a couple of different shades in different sections of the lip, so I'm going to give it a go and see how it turns out. So first of all, it's suggested that you use just a red colour here, so I've chosen R27 to do these parts here. So I did the outline of the lips, and she also marks out what areas you should colour, so I've done that following what she's suggested. And then I've gone in with the R59 and done a darker layer over the top of that, and I've sort of missed the section on the bottom of the lips to show some highlight there, which is what she's also suggested. And I've just filled out the shape of the lips how she has in her picture there. So I'm going along and just filling that out. She's also suggested to add some blue in there, so I did add a bit of the BV17 in there, and then I've come over it all with the lightest colour, which I used was the R05. I'm just using the white pencil to go over the highlight areas on the lips. So look, I think they came out okay. They look pretty good. They're a little bit different to what I would normally do, but I really quite like the effect, and I think it's something that's worth looking at. So I'm just going over now with, again, over the gold there and over the brown as well with the Y32, just to lighten it all up and blend it all in together. So I've got Y08, and I'm just doing the left side of the stars on this side, and I'm going to apologize for the pesky cat there in the background. She doesn't want me to talk to you guys today. So I'm using the Y08 on the left side and the right side of each of those stars, and I'm just blending them out with Y04 to lighten them up. So I've gone ahead and done all the stars like that. So we've done most of the head now. I'm just going to outline the eyes and the eyelashes with some black marker. You could use fine liner here or black pencil if you wanted as well. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to move to the bottom part and also the background as well next. So the background I've done quite simple because there's already spots on the background part. I decided to do it one colour, which was BG93, and I'm just going to go over the whole background area and stop at where her shoulders come in and meet the background. So it's kind of strange, the top of the shoulders there looks like that the actual skin color is bleeding up out into the background, but I've just done them a darker green color. So I'm just going to go over and do that in a sec. I'm just finalizing the face parts now with some black pencil, and also I'm just fixing up the ears, making them a little bit darker because they were a little bit light. I'm going to go over and put on some white parts on the gems and things like that now, just to see and make sure that they stand out enough. So I'm going to go ahead and pop some of that in. So I'm using that white opaque watercolor here. So I'm just using it, putting a little bit, I put some on a palette with a tiny bit of water, and I'll just go ahead and do that. And what I love about this white watercolor is that it can actually wipe off if you do make a mistake, so you don't have to worry about it being permanent. I mean, gel pen does scratch off as well, but it can still leave a mark. This seems to wipe off fairly easily with just a damp cotton bud. So I'm just going ahead and putting in some white specks and things like that in the jewelry now. You can put it wherever you like. I've just put it usually on the lighter part or sometimes on the opposite of a reflection and things like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish that off now. So now I'm going to do the background. So I'm using that BG93 and I'm just going to do the entire background behind her head, and I'm going to bring it all the way down to her shoulder level there. So I'm just going around all of these leaves and flowers that are sitting up from her shoulder, and just going in between those and around those areas. So you can see I'm not being very neat. I'm just roughly putting it in. I'm not trying to lay the colour down very smooth. Once we put on the dots and things like that, the background, it doesn't really matter that it's not blended. It just looks textured in the background. So I guess I'm a little bit of those sorts of people who likes to just sometimes just get it down on the page so that there's something there, and I like to be able to I like the fact that I don't have to put a lot of effort into something like this, especially when it comes to using markers, because obviously the more times I go over it, the more ink that I'm going to be using as well. So I just wanted you to know that if you only do one layer and it's not smoothly blended and it's kind of rough looking, don't stress too much about it, because you're not really going to be able to tell. Once you put the white spots on there, you can't like tell that there's an uneven amount here or there. It actually looks quite nice anyway. So I hope that makes sense. I'm just coming in now and I'm going to do the necklace gold as well. This colour gold I'm doing closer to the colour that's in the first part of the crown that I did on the top. So it's a little bit more yellow than the top part of the crown. I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So it's exactly the same as what we used before. I'm going to use it on all of the little circles in the necklace part of the picture as well as the collar. So I'll go ahead and just pop all this in. If you have any questions or queries about anything that I've done in the video, please just ask. You could also join our Facebook group. There's a few of us in there, so if you've got any questions, everyone might have the same questions, so it's worth having asking. Also, if you'd like to share work that you've done as an inspiration from what you've watched today, I'd love to see that as well. So just tag me in those posts or post them in the Facebook group as well. So I'm just speeding ahead here, just using those darker colours, darker oranges and the brown in there just to create the shadows and depth on the gold. I did forget to video at the end. I did add a little bit of the YG03 into it as well, which I forgot to video that part of it, so just wanted to let you know that too while I was at it. So before I finish off the necklace, I thought I better fill in the skin around this area so I knew where the necklace was and to mark those parts out. So I've just gone ahead and I've only used two colours. I've used YR000 and YR00 for the shadows. So I'm just going to go ahead and pop all this in as well. So I've just done that one layer for now, and I'll come back in and do the shadows in a little bit. I'm going to start on the leaves in the background first because I wanted to, I guess, separate the two different colours from each other first before I went and put in shadows. So I'm using BG75 and I'm just doing on the right hand side of each of the little bulby parts of the leaves, and I'll also do the vines and the middle of the I think they might be flower buds. I'm not sure if they are leaves or I don't know. But anyway, I just coloured them in with the BG75 all the way through the middle of them, and I used the BG72 and just blended out the green into the bulby part of that. So you can see there that I'm being quite rough. I'm not trying to make it all perfect, and I'm not going to go over it again with any other colour. So I'm just blending it out now with that BG72, and I'll bring in then a different colour to do the larger parts of the leaves or the bulbs or whatever they are, and I will come in and do different colours for the flowers. So I'm going to use some lighter BG colours for the other parts of those plants. So I've got BG45 first, and I'm just going to do the shadow section near the middle of the leaf or plant first, and then I'm going to blend that out with BG53 to lighten it up a little bit. I will put some white specks on each of these once I've finished as well, so at the end I'll use that as my contrast colour to just make them look a little bit shinier and brighten the whole picture up a bit. So I've got that lighter colour, BG53, and I'm just covering over the rest of those areas. So now I've done that, I'm coming back to the necklace and I'm doing the darker shadow areas. So I'm putting a darker colour, which is E15, onto the right hand side of each of these little balls here. Some of them are slightly towards the middle, it doesn't really matter, it's just the reflection of something dark in front of her, or the leaves, or whatever she's standing in front of. So I'm just popping that in randomly all over the areas. I will put a little bit of black in later on to really deepen that up a bit, but for now I've just done that colour. I'm going to go over it with Y38 and blend that out a little bit further. And I'm going to do this all over this necklace piece, so you can see from the main picture at the start or at the end what the finalized picture looks like. And I have used the green to do the gems, so when I come down to the gems I'll just explain a little bit about that as well. But for now I'm just filling out these gold areas, so I'm using E15 first and I'm just blending this over, and then I've gone over the top of it with the YR18 So bringing that orange in made those areas a little bit larger and extended them a little bit further out. So I've got the Y38 and I'm just blending this further out now. So I'm just going to continue on with these gems, finish them up, and this is the last part of the picture now before we move on to the flowers, which shouldn't take very long. There's only a few colours in the flowers there. So I'll just go ahead and fill this section out and I'll let you know what colours I'm using as we go. So I've swapped that Y38 for Y35 and I'm just filling in the areas further, and then I'll blend that out with Y32 and I'll finish off those sections with that. So I've got Y32 and I'm just finalising these the gold parts of the necklace here as well. So now that I've done that, I'm going to mark out all my shadow areas. So I'm using YR00 to do that. And I'm just going around the necklace parts, and anywhere where the flowers or jewels are hanging on the skin, I'm going to put a shadow behind it. You can pick one side to do it on. I've picked kind of both actually. There's no particular way to put the shadows in. It's just to show depth and to show that it's sitting off her skin. So I wasn't happy with how they came out. I wanted them a little bit darker. So I've come in with B000 and I've just gone into the shadow areas closest to there and brought it out a little bit further. So it did help me put a little bit more depth into it, but it wasn't quite as dark as what the skin on the face and the neck was, which is what I was sort of looking for. I wanted her to sort of blend out and be a little bit more brighter on the chest here, because there's so much going on with the jewels and things like that anyway. So I'm going to blend over the top of that now with the double zero, and just go a little bit further out. So it really has just deepened up that area around the plant. I haven't done it on every single section, but I've picked most of those areas to go over. And now I'm bringing back over the top of that the YR000. So just bringing it over the top of the highlighted areas and those shadow areas, just to blend them all in nicely and make it nice and smooth. So I'm just going back into the gems now. I'm using G05 to put some deeper shadow areas in. I'm kind of putting them randomly over those star areas. I'm also going to start this bottom jewel as well. So Hanna Karlzon has already put in a shape in that bottom jewel, so that makes it a little bit easier to fill out. But there is some more information about that in that Helen Elliston book that I was talking about before. So you could have a check that out, and she actually shows you how to draw it up if there was no lines in it like there already are. But all I've done is I've put darker, coloured in some of those triangles darker in some sections, and then use the next colour to go into other sections. And then I'm going to use, so I'm using G02 at the moment to blend all the G05 out, and now I'm coming over it with G00 to blend the rest of that out. So I'll fill out these triangles in that larger diamond in the middle there. I'm going to leave some spaces for some white, and I'm also going to add some black pencil in there as well. So when you have a look at a diamond or jewel like that, there's always black tones through it as well, because of the reflecting light and also the reflecting items that are around it. So things that are sitting further away can reflect off black onto that necklace as well. So I'm just filling those areas out now, and then I'm going to continue using the same colors on the rest of the gold around it, and I'm using the same greens all the way around as well. So I've been using G05, G02 and G00. I'm also using that white Prismacolor pencil and the black Prismacolor pencil alternately inside those areas as well. So I'm using them as shadow and highlight colors as well. So I'm going to use these greens to go around this necklace down the bottom here as well. So I've used G02 and G05 in those areas there, and just blended them out a little bit further. I'm going to use black to really show depth in them as well, which I'm doing now. So we're going to move on to the flowers in a minute, because this bit will be finished, and then once we've done the flowers we'll do some more white highlights and contrast in there as well. I hope that you have enjoyed this session today, and if you do have any questions, as I said before, please don't hesitate to ask. Remember to share this too with people that you know. If somebody asks a question and you know that this video answers the question, please just let them know so they can come and have a look at it for themselves. I really just want to share knowledge that I've got, and I'm hoping that I haven't gone too fast for you as well, because I know some people really like the longer videos. It's just taking up way too much time. I'm getting less colouring done, and that wasn't the point of me doing it. I was hoping to get more colouring done. So so I'm just going in and deepening up this necklace a little bit now. I've used some black, and I've come back in with the other colours just to blend it over a little bit too. So hopefully I have helped you out, and if there's anything that you need, please just let me know. I'm going to move along and finish off all these gold sections that are remaining on this necklace, and then I'm going to move on to those red flowers. So with the flowers, I'm just going to use R59 for all the shadow areas, and I'll go ahead and start those now. So just before I start the red, I'm going to do these middle sections yellow. So I've got Y08, and I'm going to use YR00 as well. So I'm doing one side of each of the little stalky parts in the middle there, and then the other side I'm going to use the YR00 to fill out. So now I've got the R59, and I'm going into all the shadow areas. So I'm marking underneath where all the flowers have bent over, and I'm doing around the parts in the middle there as well that will show shadow. So I'm going to go ahead and do this all around the flowers. So now I'm going to blend that out with R27. So I'm coming over the top of that colour and just making this a little bit thicker with this colour. So bringing it out further towards the highlighted section. So there's not a lot of detail in them. I've just done them roughly, popped in the colour over the top of the other colour. I'm going to put some white and dark red dots in the middle of it, which seems to take away from any details that are in the flower anyway. So I've just done this one side and I'm blending it out with the R14. So you could just see how that looks there. I'm going to come back in with R59 and deepen up the shadow areas, and I'm also going to put some dots on that as well. So I'll finish off this side first with those colours again. So we've got R27 now, and then I'm going to blend it out with R14. So just finishing up with that R14, I'm going to use the R59 and I'm going to come in and put some little dots through the flowers, and I'm just going to line all of those shadow areas again to deepen them up a little bit. Now I'm going to bring in that opaque white watercolour. You can use gel pen here, you don't have to use a watercolour. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put some spots and sparkles all through these areas. I am going to do some little stars as little light reflections on some of the jewellery pieces, and I'm also going to put little speckles of white through those flowers as well. Having that detail in the middle there, it just makes the picture. So this contrast is what actually does finalize the picture and make it look finished, and I think that it's what makes it stand out nicely as well. So I'm going to go ahead and finish off all these parts now. You can follow along or slow down the video or pause it and follow along, whatever you want to do. You could also put this anywhere that you like on the page. I'm going to put it in the background as well, just some spots around some of the areas there to cover over the spots that were already printed on the page. So I'll go ahead and do that. I might add a couple more in there as well. So I'm going to go ahead and finish that off now. So I was trying to do the star with the paintbrush, but I just couldn't get the lines thin enough. I tried to smudge them out, but it just didn't look right. So I've got a really fine white gel pen there that I've used just to fill those areas out there. So I'm just finishing up now. I've mentioned a couple of names in the video. One is Kit and Clouder. The details are in the description closer to the end there. I've also listed the book that I have of Helen Elliston's there that you can have a look at. And I've also put links to the book that I'm using here below as well. So hopefully you enjoyed today and that you got a lot out of the video. Thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. Thanks, guys.